greetings, all you magnificent beings out there, and welcome to Life Mastery TV, your source for inspiration, empowerment, and fulfillment. My name is David McLeod, and I am your Life Mastery Coach, author of the delightful and powerful book, A Life to Die For. And also, I'm one of the co-authors of the best-selling series, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care. Today, we are embarking on episode number 192, and we're calling this one Manifest Your Dreams. Now, I think everyone has dreams. That is, everyone who's conscious. Some people even manage to make their dreams come true. Somehow, these people have learned the secret of employing their innate creativity to bring forth what they desire in their lives. We generally refer to this particular phenomenon, this creative process, as manifesting. But what exactly is it? And how do I get me some of that? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this episode of Life Mastery TV. And since it is such an important topic, in my view, I wanted to bring someone onto the show who has a demonstrated ability to manifest her own dreams. For this reason, I've invited back my good friend and colleague, the founder of The Wellness Universe, a best-selling author in her own right, and all-around support angel. Following her calling to truly make a global change, she created The Wellness Universe, the world's first one-stop online directory and resource center to support and promote whole health and well-being on a global scale. In all her work, she encourages and supports empowerment, authenticity, and attainment to spirituality as core building blocks to achieve anything you dream. So please welcome the always delightful and beautiful Anna Pereira back to the show. Welcome, Anna. Thank you for coming and joining me here today. Oh, you're muted.
Be nice how to use my own platform there. David, thank you for that awesome introduction. That was so touching. I appreciate that. It's such a pleasure to be back on your show. I love Life Mastery, and as soon as you asked me to be back, I was just blown over, because I would wonder why you'd want me back again.
Oh, how could you wonder such a thing? You know, you are the queen of magnificence. You are really a very powerful and inspirational woman. And I know that people who are on this show right now, if they don't know you, I'm sure they will love to get to know you, particularly if they become members of the Wellness Universe, which I've been a member of now for, I think, 4 years. And it's just a really great organization. And well, why don't you talk a little bit about the Wellness Universe, because it is your baby.
Thank you, David. I want to thank everybody that's joined us live, and Jenny is here also. So thanks for joining us. So first of all, you've been a member for more than 4 years, my friend.
Really? Has it been longer than that?
Well, we've been around we're going into our 9th year, I think.
Right, but I didn't join right away.
No, but it's been more than 4. I'm pretty sure
it was about a year before the first Soul Treat. That sounds about right to me. So I don't.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Go figure from there.
It seems like longer, I guess, because we're like compadres for a long time already here.
Right, maybe.
So thanks for bringing that up. So the Wellness Universe is an amazing resource for people who are seeking wellness, well-being, transformation, support through our amazing members who are vetted transformational leaders, healers, coaches, basically that cover many aspects of well-being and wellness. It could be, for yourself, mind, body, spirit, the environment. We talk about all different subjects. There's experts in all different areas, and thewellnessuniverse.com is the site where you find us all. And then we have wonderful things going on, events and content and classes and things. So yeah, that's the Wellness Universe. Thanks for that segue, David.
Well, and also, I mean, I mentioned the Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, and we have completed 4 volumes now, and I've been fortunate to be involved in all 4 of them. And Anna, for those of you who don't know, was the lead author on these. So there's your 4 volumes right behind you. And would you like to say a little bit about that series and what it's meant to you in terms of bringing joy and happiness and stress relief and achievement and all kinds of things to the people of the world.
Thank you for that, David. Yes, absolutely. So our publisher, Bravular Productions, Laura DeFranco, approached me, what was it, like about a year and a half ago for the first book. When she was creating and launching her publishing platform, we were the first people that she came to and said, "Hey, Anna, do you want to do a book for the Wellness Universe?" And I was just like, absolutely, because it was fine timing with COVID and the levels of stress and people being home and everything else. I said, this is a natural, is perfect timing. Again, probably manifested that. Then that led to the first book over here, which is The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Stress Relief, which gathered amazingly brilliant authors from the Wellness Universe, you being one of them, telling a brilliant story about challenge overcoming or educating, and then a tool in order to take care of yourself in your own time, in your own space. That's a real tangible tool that you can do, whether it's spiritual or, a physical or whatever. So the books are built on the structure, the same structure with a different theme. And that was the first book. The second book, which you're also part of, is 25 Tools for Happiness. The third book was 25 Tools to Achieve Anything. And then our most recent one was 25 Tools for Goddesses, which you are the only male author in that book. And so you could tell by the themes, but it all relates back to one thing, and that's self-care. And that's the primary and the foundational thing that we all need. And of course, you know this, but for our audience members, this is really what is at the foundation for you to live your best life. It's about taking care of yourself and loving yourself, and also giving you the tools that maybe you didn't even know existed in the world. There's so many resources out there and so many techniques that we can do at home. It's a matter of learning about them, creating the awareness of how they fit into our lives, and implementing them for these things to work for us. And literally, David, you could speak to this, that some tools you could do just once to have amazing transformation, unlock something in your life, like your conversations with yourself for your inner, your shadow work, and, to connect with your inner child. And I mean, just one conversation would create a reality and heal a wound that you've been carrying around for your entire life. So that's why these books are so special to me, because you just get the book and then you have everything you need on your own time, which is, I think, one of the big keys to transformation and really helping people. It's when they're ready, right? It's when they're ready for the information and to implement, and for that tool or resource to speak to them. And I think that that's why these books are so powerful, because the personal stories that the authors share speak to people on a real life level. And then the tool is like, maybe I'll try it. And it's when you're ready for it. So yeah, the books are real special. Thanks for the intro on that.
Yeah, no, these are very important books, I think. And I don't want to underplay this, because, you didn't mention it. I kind of did at the beginning, but every single one of these books was a bestseller on Amazon. And I believe one of them even became an international bestseller. Is that right? Which one was it? That was that book on happiness, I think.
Yeah, they were all bestsellers, and three of them were number one bestsellers, and two of them were number one international bestsellers.
Okay.
And yeah, so we have that all listed out on our authors page on the Wellness Universe, and they're all rated 4.8 to 5 stars as well on Amazon.
Good. Well, now I need to get that information just for myself, because I want to put that on my website too. Yeah. These are really amazing books, folks, and I encourage you to head over to Amazon, look for them, and pick up copies. You can get it either in PDF format or whatever they call it now, Kindle, I guess.
Kindle.
Or you can get the physical copy, just like what Anna has behind her there. And the physical copies are what, $22 or something?
Yeah, they're 22, and the Kindle. So you got to watch for the launches, because they're $1.99 at launch, but there's still a bargain at $4.99. So, right. And literally for $5, I mean, who doesn't have $5 to invest in their ease, healing, transformation, right. Joy, happiness? Right. It's extraordinary, honestly, once you start diving into the books. And the great thing about it is also, it's one chapter at a time. You don't have to commit. If you're not a reader, You don't have to commit to a whole book.
Right. And it's not like I don't know, a novel or something where you pretty much have to read things in order. This book, you can just open it up to any chapter and get a great gift out of that. And hopefully you'll open it to my chapter, but what can I say? Just a little bit of narcissism there.
Chapter 18, I think it is. Hold on a minute. On the happiness book anyway. Every book you were a different chapter, but I think, yeah, you were chapter 18, happiness, hyperlisting in the happiness book. Yeah. So since Happiness Day is coming, International Day of Happiness, I got the whole happiness thing going on. But you're right. And you know what, David? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I had some people just open up to a chapter and it's exactly what they needed to hear.
Right. Yeah. And that's often the case, isn't it? I mean, you can do that pretty much with any nonfiction book, I think. Anything that's designed to be of self-help. A good example is A Course in Miracles. Another one is A Course of Love. I find I can just open it to a random page and just read a paragraph out of the middle of a thing, and it jumps right out at me and says, oh, this is what I needed to see this in this moment. It's beautiful. All right, Anne, I want to get down to our topic of manifesting. All right, here we are. We're talking about two important things here. First, the wellness universe. And second, this series of books, both of which were manifested out of your imagination, maybe with a little help from some other people, but it was primarily your creative juices that started flowing. So tell us a little bit about that process. And I know you have another special story that you want to share today about, like, the most amazing thing you ever manifested in your life. And you can, I'm not going to say a word about that. I'll let you share that story in your own way.
Okay, great. So I appreciate that. I just want to bite my lip when you, because I just want to be like, blah, this is the greatest thing that ever happened in my life. So let me start with that, because that'll be the proof of concept, so to speak, of manifesting. And I have the happiness book out for two reasons, because happiness is going to be on our minds, because International Day of Happiness is coming on March 20th, but also because yes, International Day of Happiness. How do you like that, David? Perfect. They gave you an actual, they made you into a holiday. How about that? I actually share my entire story on my introduction here about manifesting. Okay, so for people that think that this is all like BS or whatever, I literally was manifesting before I knew what manifesting was, because for some reason I just had the download when I was alone one day in my home, and I was just standing at the top of my second floor landing. I have a little Cape Cod in New Jersey, and I live in New Jersey and in Portugal, and I also travel globally a lot. So that just lets you know that, my life now to where it was, I manifested all of this and all of these incredible things. But I literally had a download when I was up at the top of my stairs, and I had been through a lot of crap. And there was no reason for me to think that I'd ever have, or I should ever even desire to have better for myself, because there was a lot of stuff that I had just recently gone through in that moment. And I was really alone. Like, no, I wasn't attached to anyone. I really didn't have a support system around. I had a business that didn't go in my direction. I worked for a company that I ended up not really being happy for. It was a great status position, but I wasn't happy in that job. And I just, life was just not kind to me. I was really on my knees at that moment. And it was really hard to even think about a cheery future or a happy future, or to have anything that I couldn't even see, tomorrow, it being, the sun coming out tomorrow. And for me to just stop at that moment and say, I'm going to give this over to God and to the universe, and just all of my angels, all of the saints, all of my ancestors, whoever's listening to me, please just, allow me to live my happiness and bring me someone that will I'll make beautiful babies with. I just asked for those two things, but there was more to that.
But just before you go on, can you help us understand from the timeline perspective, when was this in terms of your Was that like 10 years ago or something? Or
This was in the beginning of 2009. This was literally like January or February of 2009.
okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. So I had just given it over to God, the universe, all of my saints. I was praying to Saint Rita at that time. I come from a Catholic background, but I don't really attend church. But I do all of, I still have that strong belief and connection. I said that, and then I also said these couple of things. It was like an innate realization and awareness that was created once I said I'm just gonna like literally give it over, because we say we're going to give something over, or we say that we're going to stop doing something, but we really don't stop, or we say we're going to do something, we really don't do it. Like this really was like releasing, like I'm giving it over to you, and I swear I'm done. I'm finished here, or else I'm gonna like literally something's going to happen to me, and it's not going to be good. And at that moment, when I truly opened my heart to giving it over to the universe and putting it out there, I realized that one of the things that was blocking me was my judgment of myself, me judging others, and my fear of what others would judge me. And you know what I'm saying? How they would judge me. And once I had that awareness that all has to come to an end, I felt like a load was lifted off of me. But it took time as well. It's not like, oh, I'm going to boil some water, I'm going to put it on the stove, and boop, the water's boiling. It still takes time. And you still have to do a lot of unpacking, a lot of peeling back, a lot of work in order for you to get that to manifest. Well, I knew that I just really wanted someone in my life. And up until that point, I was like 35 or 36 years old. Up until that point, I was just striking out with, the partners that I was keeping, and just striking out. Business ventures that I went in on, striking out. And so I waited, I held on. I got pushed down a little further still. I had some more hurdles to overcome. But about 9 months later, on October 26th, I went out on my first date. And you're smiling because you know him. I went out on my first date with this gorgeous guy here, Hugo. And we got married on December 23rd, 2009. So in less than 8 weeks, I met the man of my dreams and got married. And now it's been 12 years. I live, all over the world practically, because every time we go somewhere, we kind of stay there for a little while. But I have a home in Portugal. I have a home in New Jersey. I have a great, remarkable community and company, and team, and everyone to support the wellness universe. I'm involved in projects that fill my heart, that do the world better, from the people I'm surrounded with, from the projects that we create. So also I realized that when I was doing my ask to allow me to live my happiness and bring me someone that I can make beautiful babies with, it was so open. And I know some people, and we'll talk about this too, some people's perspective on how to manifest, you have to be very clear in your ask. And for me, it was more like, I don't even know what makes me happy. Who knows? I don't know what the world has in store. I've never been spelunking. What if spelunking makes me happy? I don't know, which is cave diving for anyone that doesn't know what spelunking is. So, I don't know what happiness is. So that's why I left it open. Just please allow me to live my happiness.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. So for me, that was my methodology, and literally that was my secret. But I know that now that we shared the secret, I know everybody's going to stick around for the rest too. But that was literally my recipe.
Well, there's a lot there. That's beautiful. And you're right. I have heard people talk about this from different perspectives. I kind of like your approach. The idea of saying, like, if I were to say, I want an airplane. That's a truthful thing for me. That's one thing that I do want in my life. But what is it that I really want that I believe the airplane is going to provide for me? I think that is the deeper ask. And that's what all of us need to do. I want more money. Well, who doesn't want more money? But what's the money going to do for you? What is the money used for? And I think you hit it right on the head when you said, well, I think, you said, I want someone to make beautiful babies with. I'm looking forward to when that happens. And I want to be able to just live my happiness, whatever that is. And so that was a beautiful way of putting it. And you just decided to let the universe fill that void for you in its own way. And it seemed to answer in exactly a way that really has resonated for you.
Absolutely. Funny you mentioned that, David. So we have not had human babies, but we've had, and it's funny, I've had this conversation with other people, and they're like, but you have had many babies, like all the stuff that you and Hugo produces. As you know, Hugo is also, he has all these projects, and he's an entrepreneur, and he has all this stuff going on. And it's like, we have made babies together with everything that we create, because it's about creation, right? In the perspective of babies. So, or we can look at it as we have our fur babies, we have, all of this other stuff. But I really do think it's about the projects that we've been creating, him on his own, me on my own, and us together, that could be the beautiful babies. In addition to one day, we do plan on adopting when it's right for us. But yeah, I think the human babies are off the table right now, David. Just saying.
Well, I wasn't probing for that kind of information, but I think you would make beautiful babies in that sense. But anyway, I think you're right. Being able to engage your creativity, which is really what producing babies is all about. That's the most intimate form of creativity, I guess, in that sense. But really, creativity can take an infinite variety of forms. And when you create something that is dear and near to your heart, there's a huge sense of fulfillment that comes out as a result of that. And nobody else has to even care about it, What matters is it's something that emerged out of your essence and emerged out of who you are. And that's what I think is what people get excited about when they create something like that.
For sure. And it's funny that you say that. And I think that lends to one of the things that you want to talk about was self-love. And I think that the more in tune you are, you appreciate your own projection of what it is that's inside of you and your love through your creative way of doing it, whether it's music, David, or whether it's painting, or whether it's creating, a community or a gathering or a movement. Creation is, like you said, it's the essence of you. It's the materialization of what makes you up. It's your essence. And I strongly believe that in this world of competition, and as a Wellness Universe member, we're all about collaboration and co-creation through community and coming together. It's a lot of C's. But the more self-love that you have and the more tuned into who you are, that is true self-love. And you'll know that what you produce would stand alone, and that will allow you to be happy, and your cup will be full just for the sake of producing it. Look, you don't plant a rose bush and expect the rose to show up a certain way, unless you plant a red rose bush and you get, white roses. But I'm just saying, there's no way a rose is going to show up a certain way. You just know it's going to bloom, and it's like, oh, it's beautiful. Right. But when we create something, unless we have self-love for ourselves and know that we're being honest with ourselves and just coming from us, and we're doing our best, and we're in alignment, and we have integrity for what we're doing, we have to be able to stand back and say, it doesn't matter if, let's say it's an artist that paints on canvas. It doesn't matter if this didn't sell. I love it, and I know it came out of me, and I know my work is good. And exactly. That's really what you have to, you have to stand on at the end of the day. And that comes through self-love.
Right. And sometimes this idea of selling might be getting in the way of making sure that whatever it is you've created ends up in the right hands. If you're too busy trying to sell it, then you're not allowing it to be received by the person who really needs to have it. And that's one of the things that I've thought a lot about, and this is probably one of the reasons that I don't really like selling very much. The idea of, I've got to convince you to buy this thing because I know it's good for you. I just don't, I mean, I just can't do that stuff anymore. I can't do it anymore. So I'll say, hey, here's something that will offer these benefits. It's yours or not, it's your choice. And if you decide you want it, then we can talk about a price at that point in time. So, by the way, I just want to acknowledge everybody who's on the live presentation today. Thank you so much for coming. If you have comments or questions, and I see we've had a few comments already. If you have comments or questions that you'd like to have us talk about or answer or whatever, please just put them in the chat and we will deal with them as we go. I just want to respond to Rosemary. She said she totally resonated with that. And I think she was talking about what you were saying about resonating or manifesting the thing that you want at the deeper level rather than the specific details.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
Yeah, and Jenny was just resonating with your comment about creating. So now you've already kind of alluded to this, that you know, you can't, like you talked about the rose. You don't just plant a rose and expect it to show up a certain way. You can't just wave a magic wand sort of thing and have things turn out exactly the way you want. But you can put your intention forth, and you can create something that comes from your heart and just put it out there and watch and see how it grows into itself, because it does, in a sense, become its own entity the moment you release it out of your physical connection, I guess.
I'm sorry, what was the question in there? Sorry.
Oh, I didn't ask the question. I just made a comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and this is a conversation, right? So feel free to comment or agree or disagree or.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I didn't know if there was a question attached to it. Sorry. I actually got preoccupied with Rosemary's question. I just said to myself, oh, there's a masculine and feminine way. I didn't know that. So actually I was sidetracked by what Rosemary just brought up, because this is a realization to me. This is a new awareness that was just created. But absolutely, I think that once when you're tapped into your truest self, and I wanted to address something a minute ago also about success in selling, because that also has a lot to do with how you proceed. I want to talk about that in a second. Don't let me forget that. But yes, once you do, because there's so much to talk about, David. You know me, and you get started, forget it. So when you are releasing from inside to out, as long as you could say, I did this through really being tuned in and tapped in, as opposed to what's expected, I think that is like the purest form. And then that really creates that cascade. Like I said, when I asked to manifest, and there's certain realizations that came to me, months passed. It's not just like you get an answer, you know, because there's other things that had to happen. And it's like, when I step away from my creation, for example, is it really what I wanted to do? Or was I doing it because it's what people expected of me? You know what I mean? So there's all of these components there. But getting back to what you were saying before, it's funny because I was having this conversation with a person a couple of days ago, and this person was getting disheartened because they were putting so much into their business. And they're not a seller anyway. They don't sell, but they definitely support like what they do, and they put it out there. But they were about to kind of give up, or at least they're feeling very, very low. But I know for a fact that they show up authentically, and I know for a fact that they have value and they have talent. They're really good at what they do. But the measure of success that they were using was not accurate, because they saw the lack of clients, because they're a coach. They saw the lack of client as the measure for their success. And I said, never allow who you are, the value you bring, and your wisdom in your heart to be measured by your amount of clients or not. I said, because, you know, being a coach, it's not easy. And people have to have disposable income. So just having this conversation with them helped shift them. But I would never want what they do or who they are to be dimmed because of where they're at. So even through the process, and I just wanted to share that because it's through the process of manifesting, you're going to hit your highs and your lows. As I mentioned before, I hit a really big low. I mean, I'm going to share it because I did share it in my book. In between putting out that call to the universe and meeting Hugo, I had met a guy, had a real brief relationship with him, got pregnant and had an abortion.
Oh.
So when you're 35, that's a big deal, spiritually, physically, emotionally. And I had to reconcile, like, maybe that was my last chance to have a baby, but, you know, and also the whole reconciling of making that decision. It's a big one. And so I'm just here to say that you're going to go through your highs and your lows, but you got to hang on to what the end result, what that vision is. And you have to be open to the things that happen in between, but stick to your truest self and stick to your heart. Let everything come out through your heart. And if you stick to that, you'll arrive at the destination for what it is that is also in your best interest, because the universe always looks out for us.
Wow, a lot there.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear about that experience for you. I imagine that was a difficult choice to make. And I honor you for making the choice that was true for you in the moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, you know, what you've been talking about, trying to get your message out, share your creations with people, and elevate the consciousness of the world. Those are pretty lofty goals, and they're great things to do. The problem is there's still a lot of people out there who don't have very high level of consciousness, and they maybe don't understand the message that you're trying to deliver, at least not yet. And this is why some of us may experience some challenges when we're trying to sell a product that we absolutely know it's going to make a huge difference, but the person who's at the other end of that conversation can't see themselves in that place yet. And this is why so many people talk about meeting people where they are, you know, and trying to find out, well, what is it that this person really needs, rather than, or what does this person really want even? And this is something that I've heard a lot of people, you know, say, find out, give them what they want, and then you can add in what you know they need. And so that's really why so much of the, you know, promotional stuff we see is based on solving a problem, providing a solution to a particular situation or whatever, and everything else is just, you know, the real power is coming out on the remainers in the gravy stuff, you know. And as Rosemary says, selling is not a bad word. I know that, you know, selling is not a bad word, and we all have to do it at some point if we want to be in business, especially as entrepreneurs. I just simply said that it's not something that I particularly enjoy doing, because it feels to me like I'm trying to convince somebody of the value that I believe is already there. And that's the reason that I don't like it. So anyway, I want to go back to what Rosemary was said about this, talk about the masculine versus feminine views of manifesting. And, you know, that's a real interesting idea. And I think we've already kind of hit on it a little bit, like right at the very beginning when we were talking about making a long list of all the specific details that you want. That sounds like a very masculine way of approaching something. Whereas asking for, I release it to you and I just want to be happy, I just want to live my happy life, that sounds like a more feminine approach. And it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. The kind of energy you use to engage your manifesting is what may be different, okay? So yeah, Jenny's just giving us a Google definition of masculine versus feminine here. And I think, yeah, those terms we all recognize. There's a lot of words you could put into the masculine category and a lot of words you can put into the feminine category. But I think you get my point. Do you Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. And it's funny because as I was reading that, that's what struck me, is that I was very open, and it's been taught through different type of manifesting. You know, you have to be very specific. And I felt like that was the masculine side, but now that it's confirmed through Jenny's Googling, thank you, Jenny. We've received confirmation. This is official on the newswire, hot off the presses. This is the difference between masculine and feminine. And yes, this all makes sense to me. There was one more point that I wanted to make about that, but it slipped my mind now.
It'll come back. It'll come back. So really, this idea of manifesting, you are a master manifester. You've proven your ability to do this, and you love doing it, and you model it very well. But some people aren't, or they don't see themselves as master manifestors. And the question is there anybody who cannot manifest?
Everyone can. I just think it's, you know, for some it's a sprint, for some it's a marathon. And I think people give up on themselves too quickly, or because it's not about expectation, because you wouldn't be gifted that expectation if, I mean, it's as simple as like, I want to be, you know, I want to hug Oprah. I want to go meet Oprah. And I did. Like, I mean, it's simple. It's as simple as you put something out there that you want to have happen. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen for you. And sometimes it just takes longer. You know what I mean? And for example, the masculine way, for example, I want to make $400,000 next year. That's the masculine version. Well, there's different ways that can show up. If it's the feminine version, maybe you inherit a house, or you get a plane, or something like this. It could be done in different ways. It's not just about the money. And for some people, and there's a lot of other work that you have to do also, and I'll talk about a couple other things too that need to be done. But I think that like our friend Erica, she has a system, super conscious coaching. I think she renamed it, but she was talking about certain people with their energy vibration have to tune into what the energy vibration is. So then I know for me, like if I want $10, I got to ask for 30 in order to get 10. But I'm not upset with the 10 because I know the 30 is just because I'm asking for the 30 to get the 10 because I already know this about myself. Right. That's the funny thing. So there's like an energy vibration also. But with the feminine version of manifesting, this is the beauty of it. It's so open-ended, but as long as you are really connected to what you desire and what you want to feel and what you want to experience, without having that real defined, boxed in, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to, you know, I want to have this title. I want to have this office on this floor at, you know, and when it becomes that rigid, I want to say rigid, then you have to find the ways to make that manifesting happen, because there's other things that you have to do, right, other layers you have to peel away. When you leave it open and it's really from your heart, you're working with your heart space, you're working with your love space. And if you are personally ready for it and you have that self-love, I think it happens a lot quicker.
You know, this all makes beautiful sense to me. And I think what I've been doing, I've been doing some visualizing on specific things that I want. And I have drawn a very clear picture of what I want. I've itemized all the details because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. But now I see a different perspective, and I'm going to try and bring more feminine energy into my visualizing, and you start thinking more about what do I get when I have those things, or what do I imagine I get that I really want? And that's kind of, I think, the more feminine approach. So what I really want is I want connection. I want a partner that loves me for who I am. I want sex would be great, but I'm getting on in years, and that's not really quite as likely anymore. But that's all right. I mean, I can still have cuddling, and I can still have connection, and have nice meals and go for walks and all this kind of stuff. And really, that's all I want, is someone who loves me, who supports my business and my message, and who has her own mission that's very much in alignment with mine, so that we can kind of fly together, so to speak, And
Yep.
that's kind of what I want in reality. And so I don't need all the other details. The details are probably getting in the way and making it harder for the universe to respond.
But see, even that, it's like, what if you're saying, I want somebody to support me? See, now you're getting to the details. I want somebody to support me in my business. What if your business goes out the window when you meet somebody, you travel the world with them, and you take that cruise that what takes 2 years or whatever to go around? What if you end up doing that because you find the right partner? Because in the end, it's all about living in your essence with your complement.
Well, you just scared the shit out of me. Because now what I'm thinking is, but what about all the time and energy and everything else that I've poured into this?
It makes you who you are.
I know, you see, but you see, that's just the point. This happens to everybody. What happens if something completely different shows up that's really meant to be for you? And it means that the other thing that you've been doing all this time may have been the wrong thing.
That doesn't mean it's wrong, but that's the whole thing. Like, remember what I said to you, my 3 elements: no judgment of myself, no judgment of others, and stop fearing what others are going to judge me. All the bullshit that was going on in my head. If I own a house, they own a house, whose house are we going to sell? I won't even meet somebody. I'm thinking about whose house we have to sell so I can go move into the other person's house or they move into mine. I'm blocking myself. Those are the things I was saying. Those are the undoings tied to the fact of the judgment. That judgment will kill you. It will sabotage you. And like I was saying before about the one person who was having a struggle because their version of success, they were sabotaging their success because they think that they don't have value because they don't have many clients, but they're sabotaging this. It's a cycle. So what you're saying right now getting into that masculine version,
I know,
but support you. What about them? What if they're, I don't know, some goddess or superhero or leader of a tribe, and you're like, oh my gosh, how amazing is that person? But here, come over here. Let me tear you away from your tribe and come work with me. But you could be doing what you're doing.
Well, no, I mean, I do want mutual support, but that's fine. I get your point.
Yeah, okay. And, you're like, I get your point, Anna. Stop talking.
Yeah, stop talking. Yeah. Jenny says, all of that time was needed to get you right here, right now. That's absolutely true. It doesn't matter. Anything I have done in the past was never a waste of time. It was all part of the process of unfolding and evolving and becoming who I am right now. So I get that. And so thank you for that, Jenny. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff here. So anyone can manifest. We've kind of agreed on that. Anyone can do it. You just have to trust in yourself and you have to trust in the universe. Those are really the only 2 ingredients that are required.
I think that and trusting yourself, trusting in the universe, and patience, and no attachment to the outcome. Really, you have to just and you also have to take action when you see things happen. You know what I mean? You also have to take action when things happen. And you also you really got to let go of old wounds. You really do. I think that's a big one. That's a real big one. I was telling my friend a long time ago, we were having dinner together and she was talking to me about somebody that she was getting involved with, but she was still pining for an ex. And I said, you can't park a car in a driveway that has a car already parked in the driveway. You got to get that car out, open up the space, and put your car in, right? So, and then I was talking to another friend of mine who's a medium and psychic, and she was like, the universe abhors vacuums. So she was saying that you create a vacuum, and the universe just wants to plug it up. So as soon as you release something or open something up, the universe will fill it. It will. So those are a couple of other elements too that I think are important as well.
Well, I love the parking spot metaphor. We should call you the Metaphorical Manifestor.
I've been called similar.
You've had other names like that, have you?
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think metaphor is powerful because it helps to create an image in your mind about what you're really trying to do. And I mean, this idea, you can't park the car until you get that other car out of the driveway. And I mean, that was great. So
Thank you.
simple. Yeah.
Thank you.
Rosemary says you can manifest anything, health, prosperity, joy, and then a whole bunch of dots there saying, come on, use your imagination is really what she's saying here. And that's true. But I think, I don't think you can just manifest stuff like the way kids go to Santa Claus and say, I want this or I want that. I think it has to be somehow a true expression of who you really are. I like to fly airplanes, but I'm not a parachute jumper, so I don't really want to manifest the parachuting thing, Or maybe there's other, like mountain climbing. I mean, sure, maybe once in a while I like to hike on a mountain, but I'm not going to go climb up Mount Everest. That's not something that is really true to who I am, So I think that whatever you want to manifest has to resonate on some level with who you are and what it is you're here to do and what it is you're trying to express. So those are our important things, I believe.
Yeah, and it's funny that we've been talking about manifesting in a positive light this whole time for how to manifest. But there's also the negative side, David, that we didn't talk about. And I think that we should just address that for one brief second, because I know when bad things happen to people, it's like, oh, how'd they manifest that? And especially more spiritual people was like, oh, how'd they manifest that? And I think that everything is put in our way to see how we navigate that. And I think that the universe throws us these lessons or these experiences to give us the opportunity to feel a loss or feel a challenge, to grow us, to be ready and to prepare us really for the success that we are looking for or the experience that we are looking to achieve. Because, it's like a child. If they get everything they want, they really don't know what it is to go out there and get a job or apply for something, because if they've been given everything all their lives, you have no sense of working at something, what it is to problem solve and work around something in order to get what it is that you desire. It's not honing those skills that you need as an individual, right? So if we just manifested like this, and typically you have your stories of your ups and downs, and actually that's what makes your end story so great. And you got some great stories, David, so which you shared in our books, along with a bunch of others you haven't shared in the books. But I think that all comes hand in hand. And I don't think that when negative things happen that we did something to provoke it. I think that it's part of the journey. It's like, I don't just wake up one day and say, I want to be a surgeon, and somebody hands me a scalpel and I could be a surgeon. You got to go to school. Well, life, though unscripted, gives us these tools, these challenges to grow our muscles, our strength, our core values, connect us more to who we are. So it gets us ready to gift us what we desire.
Yeah, that's great. And, there's something else I want to say about these things that the universe throws in our way. I do believe that on some level, we attract everything that comes into our lives. I think that, I may want all these beautiful things that I talk about in my positive thinking brain, in my conscious brain, but in my unconscious or the subconscious part of me, that part that maybe still has some old wounds that haven't been dealt with, that part sometimes says, I don't really deserve it. I'm not going to get it. Or I'll probably get the opposite, because that's kind of the way life works for me. If I believe that, then I may be, in fact, attracting that dark thing that shows up in my life. All right, that's one possibility. And it may or may not be true. I do believe that there is some truth in that, because what we do is we attract who we are at the core. We attract what we think about, and what we think about is who we are at the core. So that's that. The second part is sometimes, even if you have done a lot of personal growth work and you have a lot of positive, optimistic, uplifting thoughts, you may still be treated, shall we say, to some special events from the universe, because the universe might just be testing you to find out if you're serious. And I've often had this thought, maybe this is just here right now to find out if I'm serious about what it is I want to do. If I am, then I'm going to find a way over, under, around, or through that barrier in order to get to where I want to go next. And I think I described this in the, I don't know which, Achieve Anything book, where I talked about becoming a fighter pilot. And there was just one step after another. I just had to keep doing everything that they wanted to have done, And some people might have seen those as obstacles. I saw them as just another step. So if you just shift your perspective, if it's really truly something you want, then they aren't going to be seeming like obstacles in the first place. So there's those two different perspectives to think about, and I think that people can learn from that, and you can still manifest even in the midst of all this chaos and obstacles that show up in your life.
If you see everything is being done for you and not to you, and I don't know who I'm quoting with that, but obviously it's been said before, then you're going to see that everything is an opportunity, and everything is creating you to be your best version of yourself, so you can experience what it is that you want to experience. And really, that is what manifesting is. We want to manifest. We want this for our lives, and we have to prepare ourselves to get there.
Yeah. And Jenny just mentions that how we deal with the unpleasant surprises life throws us is the lesson. And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens in our lives. What matters is how we respond to it. That's really all that matters. And the other thing she says is that some things will keep repeating, or you will keep attracting them until you figure it out. Now, that's also an important realization, because, and I know I can experience this in my life. I have one level of challenge that shows up, and I ignore it, and it goes away, or something. Then it comes back, but it's a little bit stronger. Hey, buddy, you got to pay attention to this, and I ignore it. Eventually, it comes out, and it's so strong, it's slapping me on the side of the head and knocking me down, saying, "Are you going to pay attention to this or not?" Life just seems to do that. Have you ever noticed?
We can all relate to that on some level at some point in our lives, David. Trust me when I tell you.
Yeah. And what I like is that you laugh about it, and I laugh about it, because that's really all we can do. We look at ourselves and say, "I can't believe I did that." Head slapping moments. I can't believe I did that again. So.
And anyway. Again. No.
Yeah. Rosemary says, "You are both awesome." Well, thank you, Rosemary. I take that in. I feel that. That's nice. And she says, "I love thinking about this." Now let's talk a little bit about the undercurrents of the mass consciousness. All right, let's do that. Since we are obviously so knowledgeable and wise here, Anna, let's talk about the undercurrents of mass consciousness. And I'll let you start.
Okay, well, for one thing, we create, and Jenny knows about this, and you know about it too, I just don't think you've been there, but we try to create a mass consciousness around somebody's manifesting by doing the Voice Your Intention room on Clubhouse on Monday nights. So whatever the person's request is to manifest for themselves, our dream, we call it the dream team, our dream team of healers and collective consciousness minded folks come together and create this consciousness, and we push positive energy towards the person's intention. Now, we say to them, this has to be for you. You can't come aboard and say, "Oh, my son is really sick," or, my dog. Blah, blah. No, it has to be about you, because we don't want to mess with anybody else's destiny. But yeah, we create a microcosm of collective consciousness for people to manifest their dreams. And funny that you should bring this up, Rosemary, because I wasn't looking to plug the Clubhouse room in the Feeling Good Club on Clubhouse. However, we make this happen. We actually create this, and it's created a couple months ago, and we've been doing it every week. But we create that. So I believe in this. I do believe in this, because we physically take part in making that happen. Jenny's part of it. A few of our other friends are part of it. Nikki's part of it. There's many of the Wellness Universe members are part of this group, and we strategically make that happen. We kind of manipulate the energy a little bit, but hey.
Well, that's beautiful, and I love that kind of approach. And I see Jennifer has a comment about that. Well, I'll come to that in a minute. Before we go there, though, I think what Rosemary was referring to, now this is just me projecting a little bit, what happens to the manifesting process when you take into account what's happening in the world, mass consciousness on that level? And what comes to my mind, one of the people that I read a lot is David R. Hawkins, who's he's a psychologist or psychiatrist, I guess, who died in 2002 or 2003, and he did a lot of writing about levels of consciousness. And his idea, and I happen to agree with it, is that consciousness is kind of a logarithmic or exponential scale. So as soon as you move up a notch in consciousness, you've basically increased your consciousness strength by a factor of 10, which means that the people who are left behind at the same level, it takes 10 of those people to bring you back down. That's the interesting thing about consciousness. And what I like about this is if you can jump maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 levels, then it's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. And that's a huge jump. And this is why I think that our world has not completely self-destructed, because there are enough people at the high enough level of consciousness to offset the mass consciousness of the world. And so, but that doesn't mean we need to stop, doing the work to keep increasing our consciousness and raising our vibration. I think it's important for all of us to keep doing that. But I think it's a beautiful metaphor, if you like, this idea of exponential consciousness. And any one of us who is working towards improving ourselves, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves, and being very clear about who we are and why we're here, we are doing the work to help raise consciousness. Now, I'm not going to claim to be at any particular level of consciousness. That would be ridiculous because I have no idea what those numbers mean. But I do know that I'm much higher now than I was 25 years ago. That much I do know.
And that really that's it, because there's always going to be different levels and different. I'll give you another analogy. Just like when I look at a forest and I see a tulip tree, I'll say, oh, this had to have been cut down at some point and new forest is growing. If I don't see any oak trees or any maples, right? Because those are old trees. That's a sign of something starting over. Our consciousness levels collectively or independently, we may, as long as we are better off than where we were as an individual and we raise our consciousness, there's always going to be different sets of micro, I don't know how to describe it, but there's going to be different sets of communities, different sets of things to do, belief systems, levels of prosperity, because somebody could be off who's achieved great things and has been rich in monetary value, but they've given it all up, like a Mother Teresa. Not that she was before, but I'm saying, but then they're going to help humanity. Those people that have nothing. So consciousness also, it once we're elevated, we help out and contribute to humanity as a whole. So I don't think that as long as we are doing our work, like you're saying, it'll lead to us helping the world in different ways.
Exactly.
And I think that that's really all that matters, because never are we all going to be at the same level. And who knows if the consciousness of an ant evolves to a certain level, that they actually morph into a totally different, being or something that lives on this earth. We don't know if consciousness will actually change the body that we're actually traveling in, right? So it's very interesting. I'm not an expert on it. I just know that I want to be better tomorrow than where I am now, and I feel it inside of me that that's what I need to do. For whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's going to impact 1,000 years from now, 5,000 years from now, or a week from now.
Well, that's kind of what the nature of manifesting is, isn't it? I mean, each day you get to look at your life, or each moment, I guess, you get to look at your life and say, all right, here I am here, right now. What is the next step I want to take? And it isn't so much about getting to the destination. It's just about recognizing that every step has an important, it produces something of value, just taking the step. As long as you're coming from that place of, consciousness and self-love and, wanting to share that love with the world. If you're coming from that place, then there really is nothing you're doing wrong. And I think that's really what the nature of manifesting is just sharing love.
I think so, because I truly, truly, truly do believe if we are living in integrity with ourselves and we love ourselves, we are respecting the creation. We are respecting the creation. If we have the respect for the creation, then the universe is going to want to gift us so the creation is happy. But it's like this cycle within ourselves, from our mind to our heart, and we have to be in alignment. We have to know who we are, and we have to be good to ourselves, and we have to love ourselves enough and heal ourselves. We shouldn't be beating ourselves up. If we're beating ourselves up, how can we receive a beautiful gift and have respect for something outside of ourselves? Then that's false.
Exactly.
So I really think that manifesting is this magical elixir, but it all really comes down to loving yourself, being healed, and releasing your blocks. So you really have a good understanding of what is truly important, what is really what you want to experience, and if it serves your heart and your essence.
Beautiful. Wow. Well, it's been about an hour here now, Anna. We've just gone. It's just like that. It's
like this.
Yeah. It's been an amazing conversation. And I'm just wondering, before I wrap up, do you have any final words of love and wisdom that you'd like to share with people before I close out?
Just tune into who you are. Some call it your core values. Just tune into who you are and just be led by your heart. And don't let opinions of others, persuasions of others, everyone is different and everyone has their path. So just stay on your path that's right for you. And that's all that matters, honestly. And that's how you'll manifest what it is that you want to experience in your life.
Amen. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, David. David, I love this time with you. I love you. This was so awesome. I hope everybody got a charge out of it.
Yeah. Well, I love you too, Anna. You know that. Yeah. I'll say no more about that right now. I just want to say to everybody who is here, thank you so much for joining us for the live presentation, and I hope you really enjoyed it. If in a couple of hours, you're probably going to get an email from the Learn It Live platform. My request is that you take a moment to just write a little review for us, and to give me a 4 or 5 star heartfelt review, because that always helps. And meanwhile, I just like to remind you, for those who may not be, or I keep this recording and all recordings of all my shows on my website at lifemasterytv.com, life-mastery-tv.com. You can find everything there. And finally, just want to remind everybody, my favorite part of this show is ending on the Life Mastery mantra, and it goes like this: I gratefully forgive the imperfect being I have been in the past. I gratefully accept the magnificent being I am right now. Mm-hmm. I gratefully welcome the evolved being I am becoming in each new moment. So until we meet again, I want to wish you love, light, and happiness on your continuing journey. My name is David McLeod. I am your Life Mastery Coach. See you next time. Bye-bye.